So what we are learning is Python 3. So 3 means version 3, which is current version. And before 2, 3, of course, there is 1 and 2 versions. And we are not concentrating on one. Actually, no one is using now. Right now, industry, most of the companies are using Python 2, and everyone has to migrate to Python 3 definitely. So because Python is not no longer supported for Python 2 version. Okay, so now everyone is started migrating to Python 3, so that's why we need to learn Python 3 only, not Python 2. Okay, but as and when required, so when we are discussing the topics, right, so at that time I'll be telling you the difference between Python 2 and Python 3, right, but our main focus will be on only Python 3, not on Python 2, right? So next, so who developed Python? So Python was developed by Guido van Rossum. So yesterday we discussed some of these things, right? So I'll just quickly go through, right? So it is, as we discussed yesterday, it is one of the oldest programming language. It is not new, but even though it is oldest programming language, nowadays only some past 5 years or 10 years, right? So it is becoming so popular, and it will become so it will boom like anything in upcoming years, like 5 years, at least for another 10 to 15 years, right? So Python will be there, right? Next, so why name Python? So anyone is having any idea why name Python? If you see, there is no relation between the name and what it is doing, correct? So Python is a wild animal name, correct? So the guy who implemented Python, so this guy Guido van Rossum, so there was a TV show called Complete Monty Python in that was some kind of comedy show which used to telecast in BBC, I think. Okay, so he was very much fond of that TV show. So simply he brought that name from there, the TV show, and he gave it to this programming language. Apart from that, there is no technical reason why it should be named as Python. And also, most of the programming languages names also comes just like that only. Okay, so there is no technical reason for that. Okay, and who is using Python? Almost every company is using Python nowadays, right? So this is just, I copy pasted this slide from Google. You can see Facebook, Netflix, Glassdoor, Instagram, almost Instagram completely developed in Python. IBM, Bitbucket, YouTube, some portion of the YouTube was developed in Python. Dropbox, Nokia, NASA is yesterday we discussed, right? NASA is the biggest contributor to Python and biggest user of Python as well. Hike Messenger, Mozilla, Yahoo Messenger, SurveyMonkey, right? So you can see, you name it, any company. Nowadays, every company is using Python. Python. Maybe the applications are different. Some companies may be using for automation. Some companies may be using for data analysis. Some companies may be using for scripting purpose, right? Some companies may be using for web applications. But most of the companies, every company, if you name it, right? If you are into software domain, now or in upcoming days, everyone has to use Python, right? So you'll be understanding why we are behind Python, why all the companies are behind Python, and now every company is interested to recruit Python developers. So even though you are a Java developer, or even though you are C developer, even though you are .NET developer, right? So nowadays everyone wants Python. Any company, any profile has to be compulsory. You have to upskill to Python, right? Because that is the scope. So we discussed all these things yesterday, right? So and this slide also we discussed, but I have not showed the PPT, right? So where and all we are using Python, where we can use Python? So desktop applications, web applications, gaming, network applications, and yesterday most of the time we were talking about data science, data analysis, machine learning, artificial intelligence, internet of things, and automation. So if you observe these, all these things are becoming so popular nowadays only, right? So data and the gaming industry, web applications and desktop applications, network applications, right? What are the examples for any network applications? Anyone remember? Yes, anyone remembers? Remember? yesterday's session? Examples for network applications. You guys can hear me, right?
Like, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So you gave us example for a client server, like
correct,
where we have to use this kind of a stuff.
correct. So that means any application, you take your mobile, right? Any application which needs internet, in simple words, correct? So those kind of applications we can call it as network applications. So example, Facebook, YouTube, right? All these are network applications. So nowadays internet, right? Everything is internet. So for that we need to use that internet and all, right, properly, we need these network applications for social media or for news or gaming, anything, right? So for all those things, Python is best suitable programming language, because all these things are becoming or popular or booming. All these things are booming industries, right? So that is the reason Python also becoming so popular. And not only these things, there are other reasons also there why we need to learn Python, right? Next, any questions in these things? All these things we have spent very good amount of time yesterday. Agree? Yep. Please respond. I want this session to be interactive. Otherwise, I'll not be knowing sometimes. Okay, if you don't speak or if you don't respond in the chat box, right? I may not be knowing whether sometimes whether whether I'm audible to you, or is there any network issue, whether you people are there or not, right?
Sandeep sir, one doubt. Uh,
Yes, please go ahead.
uh, in automation, how we implement through Python? So,
Yes, automation in the sense, which automation you are talking about? Software automation?
yeah, software automation.
Okay. Yeah. So software automation. So people think that the scripting purpose, whatever the Python we use for scripting purpose, like for DevOps, also you need Python, right? So scripting purpose in the sense, doing some small kind of jobs, open some file and copy from this to there, that location to this location, like that. Those things we call it as actually scripting purpose. Okay. So when we talk about automation, automating your product, writing your test cases nowadays. So previously every company used to have manual testers, right? So now everyone is having automation testers only. Nowadays there is no demand, or no one recruit manual testers. So whatever the test cases you are doing it manually, we are going to automate it. We are going to automate it. Say, take any application, okay? Say some maybe I'll just give some small example. Maybe like take YouTube only, right? So what why we use YouTube, what and all we do there? So either we upload videos or we download videos, and we watch videos, and ads will be keep on coming. And also when we are watching ad, some timing will be there, like 10 seconds or 30 seconds, they'll allow. So some of the ads they will ask for, we will be getting option to skip some of the options. Some of the ads we can't skip it, correct? Like this, there are multiple functionalities are there, right? So any product if we take, so we will be having our core functionalities and some user interfaces and user interface and user interaction, and also user experience. So whenever we are adding some new features to our existing product, right? So our previous whatever the features are there, so we will keep on testing those things, right? Not only that, so most of the times on every release we are going to test all the test cases, we are going to execute all the test cases. So if we execute those things manually, so how much time it will take and how many resources we need, right? So how to automate these things, correct? So what we are talking about, that YouTube example only, right? So what are the simple very basic tests? I'm just giving example, okay? Because every one of us know about YouTube, right? So how we can automate those things? So connect to YouTube, right? So how we test in manually means, so you are a YouTube tester, okay? So how we test? So you will be having some set of test cases. Say the basic very fundamental test cases are whether the server is reachable or not. That means when you open your browser and when you type youtube.com, whether you are receiving the data or not. Correct. So that home page will come. So home page in the sense, of course, for each and everyone there is different different videos it will be coming based on your previous history and based on the promotions also. Correct. So that is the first test. Okay. So the same test you can do in two ways: either manually, that means open a browser and type youtube.com and see whether you are getting some response or not. This is manual way of doing. Okay. So same thing, you want to automate it. Write a automation test case. Write automation test case. Open the browser, enter youtube.com domain name, and see you are getting any response or not. Okay. So that means if you are getting any response, that test case is passed. This is what same thing you can do in manually, same thing you can do with automation also. Correct. Second test case, maybe see maybe that navigation bar, uh, we can forward it, right? The forward button you can test, backward button, pass. So all these things either we can do manually or with the help of automation also we can do, right? So what is the use of automation? Why we need to do that? First thing is to reduce the cost. To reduce the cost. So if you take same thing, if you want to test, right? So multiple times if you want to test, how many test engineers we need, and we need to train them, and they should have complete domain knowledge, and when and all it is required they can't. Yeah, correct. To reduce manpower. So to reduce manpower in the sense, basically for any company, right? So what does it matter? Not about manpower, right? So money matters. Operational cost and capital investment. We call it as apex and capex. Operational cost, to reduce your operational cost. So once you automate your test cases, right? You can run these test cases anytime. Correct. So once you have your automation test cases, generally what we do is some test cases we will run every day in the night. This is the case with every company. Some test cases we run over the weekend. So all the test cases we will run, right, at the time of release. Correct. So to do all these things with the help of manual testing, right? Can we test all these things every day? It is not possible. Correct. So it will speed up our job, and it is kind of one time job. One time job in the sense making infrastructure ready. Of course you need to keep on modifying, or you need to keep on adding your test cases, etc. But same thing if you are do manually, if you do, if we need 10 resources for manual, for automation, right? So maybe initially at the time of development you may need some two or three automation testers. Once your setup is done, right? So maybe after that only with one guy you can do it actually, right? So that one guy again no need to execute every day. So automatically we can automate. So every day maybe some 9 o'clock start this test run. So once the test run is done, analyze it. Is there any errors? Are there errors? Means failures are there. If there is any failures, report it. So if all things are green, all the test cases are green, that means report in the sense update saying that all test cases are green. If any test case is failing, it will give us notification. See. So if we automate our stuff, if we automate our product, right? Test cases, if you automate our test cases, whenever you want you can test it. Every day we will run our test cases. Got it? Understood why we need to go for automation? So I answered your question, Srinath.
Yes, sir. I got it.
Yes. And also in automation also there are different ways are there. So nowadays, so one option is Python with Robo framework, another is Python with Selenium if you want to use Python. And if you want to use other programming languages, the other frameworks are there. Okay. Yes. Right. Next. So so just a recap of yesterday's session, all these things we discussed. And next, Srinath, you attended yesterday or today's? It's your first session.
No, sir, I didn't.
Sorry,
No, I came today, sir. So I didn't
today only.
yesterday.
Okay. What's your background?
So no, sir. I am new to this field actually. So actually
Uh,
there is yesterday, na sir. Day
there is,
before yesterday. There is no class
yeah,
yesterday,
day
na sir.
before. Yeah, correct. Day before yesterday.
I joined it, sir. But within half an hour, because my mobile was switched off, so I
Okay,
didn't.
okay, okay, fine, right. Okay, fine. So next, so initial classes will be, maybe we'll keep it short sessions only, right? So once the batch is stabilized, then we will spend the 1 hour time. Okay, next. So what are the features of Python? Maybe you can note down. Okay, please note down. I'll stop for a moment. So once you note it down, maybe you can ping here in the chat box. Things are done. Please ping me once you are done. Yes, done, everyone. Okay. Yeah. So today we'll discuss some of these points, and the first thing is Python is very simple and easy to learn. Right. So simple in the sense, so easy to learn, easy to write, and easy to read also. So the readability wise and implementation wise and learning wise. In all the aspects, Python is very, very simple programming language. And if you don't have any kind of programming knowledge, then Python is the best suitable programming language, best programming language to begin with. And if you know already any other programming language, like if you know C, for example, if you know C means Python is nothing for you. If you know C means not just knowing. Okay, so if you are good in C programming language, so for you people Python is nothing actually. And if you are Java or if you are .NET, if you are expert or if you have some good programming skills in any other programming language, so in that case Python is very, very, very simple for you. And if you don't have any programming knowledge or if you don't have any technical programming background also, no need to worry at all. Python is very friendly programming language. It is so simple. So what and all you need to know is only simply you should know basic English, basic mathematics, and basic computer knowledge. So that is the qualification you need. So if you know those three things, that means you are eligible to learn Python. You are eligible to write code in Python. So maybe I'll quickly show you. I'll try to compare with any other programming language, and same thing I'll try to do in Python. Okay, so don't worry about the syntax and all. Simply just for example, okay, just to show you. So, okay, say I want to add some two numbers, something like this. So, okay, so this is what we learn in our school days, right? When we started learning mathematics. So if you want to add some two numbers, right? So this is how we do. So what we are doing here, I'm assigning 10 value 10 to A, value 20 to B, and C equal to A plus B I'm doing. So I'm assigning the addition of this A plus B to C. Correct. Now C will contain the value 30. Okay. Same thing. Let us achieve with program with a program. So first, let us see with C programming language. I think most of you people know C programming language, right? Knowing means at least you have come across it in your engineering first year days or somehow, right? So how we start our C programming language? So by including some header files. If you don't know C also, no need to worry. Just try to understand. Nothing is there. Okay. So first we'll try to add some header files. After that, how we start our program with main. So indicate main indicates this is where our program starts, right? And after that, what is our logic here? So I want to add two numbers. So first, what we will do, we will define a variable, declare a variable, and assign some value to this variable. And next, take another variable, assign this value, and next declare the result variable, and now c equals to a plus b. Next is print. Okay, the syntax in C, print of print. Okay, something like this, right? The value or the result equals to percent %d comma c. By seeing this code, everyone can remember, right? Your C skills. So what and all we are doing here? So first we need to add some header file. So this header file is for what? So in general, so this is for print and scanf. Printf and scanf purpose, we add these header files, and this main indicates starting of our programming language. So starting of our program, and this is the syntax to define a block. Curly braces, open curly brace and close the corresponding curly brace. So this is how we define block in C programming language. And next, so if I want to define the value 10, if I want to assign this value 10 to some variable, so what and all we need to do? First we need to know what kind of variable we need to store. So here my data is integer, so I need to declare this variable as integer. So if I'm taking float, then what we need to do? So we need to take this variable as float value, float. And after that, the result. So result should be of which type? So because adding integer plus float, what it will return? It will return float. That means, so as a programmer, we must know what kind of variable it will be after adding a plus b, right? So what it will leads to, whether it will leads to a integer or whether it leads to a float. Now in this case it will leads to a float, right? So the result will be some 30.5. That means it is float value. And in order to print this value, so what we need to use? Printf. Printf is our output statement. This is how with the help of print we can printf we can print the values, right? And this is some string, and this is what format specifier. So this is how we do in in C programming language. And if you see this, what do you feel like? So if you don't know anything about any programming language, right? So how it looks like for readability purpose. Okay, so a non-technical guy or a guy who does not have any programming knowledge, if he see this program, can he make anything out of it? Actually no, right? So if you see this, can we understand? Can a guy who does not have any programming background, can he understand it? No, he can't understand. And what is this int? What is this main? Right? I'm saying some int. So if I say integer, then people may understand. But just we are saying int, right? So what we are doing? What is this semicolon is doing? Right? And what is this printf? What is this percent f? Right? Not everyone can understand. If you know the basics, the syntax, then only you can understand what this program is for. So other people can understand. I think only this is the only line other people can understand who does not have any programming background, right? So this is what in C, right? Same thing if we want to do in Python. If you want to do in Python, we are saying Python is very simple, right? Python is very simple, right? When we compare with any other programming language. So how can we say simple? So same thing how we can achieve in Python, right? See this, this itself is a Python program. This itself is a Python program. See now, readability wise, now everyone can understand what it is doing. Correct? There is no, we are not saying where is the starting of program, where is the end of program, and what kind of variables we are using, right? And just for print purpose, so what is the statement we need to use is print C. So this is also easy to understand, right? So print, just a plain English word. So that means what it is doing, print C means I am printing C. So try to compare in Python print and C syntax for printing. Got it? So this itself is Python program. You want me to show, right? Let me show maybe same thing. Everyone following? Please respond. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Good. Thanks. Okay, great. Okay, let me write the same program and show you. So don't worry about this ideally and all, right? Just see all these things. Maybe I'm going to explain again. So equal to 10 some equal to 20 and equal to a plus b, right? Next, print print c. So save this program, some give some name. So we will save our program with the help of .py extension. Okay, now run this program. Don't worry about all these things, just this is to show how Python is simple. Okay, run. See, it is perfectly giving the value as 30, right? So as a programmer, we no need to worry what kind of data we are giving, whether it is integer or float, right? So if we give it here float also, it will work. Now it will result to float value, right? Let me run this again. See, 30.5. And can you compare this now? Can you see this, how simple in Python? And same thing when we compare with any other programming language, how difficult it is. Correct. So that's why I was saying. So if you know C programming language or if you know any other programming language, Python is very very simple for you. Okay. If you don't know any other programming also, at that in that case also Python is very easy. Correct. Agree everyone?
Yes, sir.
Next. Great. Next.
Yeah, sir. Sir, I have one quick doubt. Like, since we knows that we are adding two numbers, so we got the addition of these two numbers. But let's say if we have a string kind of a value in A and B is having integer, okay? But still we are performing A plus B, then what output we will get? I mean, Python, what output Python will be returning?
Here it will give you error. In general, right? So what is the basic requirement to learn Python we were talking about? You should know basic English, basic computer knowledge, and basic mathematics. So in mathematics, can we add a integer plus string? So leave about Python and everything. Correct. So what is the basic
Yeah,
fundamental
definitely.
quality?
Yes.
Yeah, so what is the basic requirement to learn Python? You
Mhm.
should know basic mathematics. So in mathematics, is it possible? No. Correct. So same rule applicable in Python also.
Yeah,
So forget about
yeah, yeah.
Python.
Understood. That I understood. I just wanted to, know like how Python will be treating this situation. So, is
Yes.
it something like, let's say A and B is having both the strings, and we are using plus symbol, then will it concatenate both the
Yes,
strings,
of course.
or?
It will concatenate. So it will concatenate. So plus operator on
Oh,
numeric data, it will add. Plus operator on string, it will concatenate. So if both A and B are strings, then it will concatenate. So of course, anyway, we are going to discuss about these things in strings and also operators. Yesterday I was giving you syllabus, right? So all these things we are going to discuss in strings and also operators. Okay,
yeah. Thank you, sir.
let's go ahead, right? And so now we can give the statement saying that Python is very simple and easy to learn. So simple in the sense easy to learn, easy to code, and easy to read also. Readability. So whenever we are writing any program, not only Python. So if you are a software developer, I think some of you people are already experienced people are there, right? So readability is very very important in any programming language. If you are a software developer, right? Because when we are writing, when we are working, or when we are coding on a project, right? So that is not for you, right? It is for company, right? So the readability should be there whenever you are coding, whenever you are writing a program, whenever you are implementing any module. So it is not for you, it is for company. That means it is for your team. So the other guy who is reading your code, they should be able to understand what is that code is doing. So that is what we call it as readability. So if you go with Python, it increases the readability, right? Next thing is Python is high level and general purpose programming language. So all of you guys remember what kind of programming languages we have? Some high level, low level, and middle level. Remember? Can you give me any example for low level programming languages? C is low level, huh? No, actually, C is a middle level programming language. We call it as C and C++ are middle level, and Python, Java, all these things are high level. And for low level, anyone can tell me the example for low level programming language? Assembly. Remember, assembly programming language we call it as low level. So why we call it as high level, low level, and medium level, middle level, right? So when we call it as low level programming language, right? So we have, sorry, so we have a programming language called assembly programming, right? So if you remember, the instructions will be something like this: move a, some 10, something like this we will be adding. So in low level programming languages, so why we call it as low level programming language means, we in low level programming language, or the low level programming languages directly deal with cpu memories, directly deal with cpu memories itself. So no need to again copy our data into cpu memories. Okay, so such kind of programming languages we call it as low level programming languages. And C programming we call it as what? Medium level programming language. Medium level programming language. So why we need to call it as medium level programming language? So take the same example. See here what we are doing here. So in this case, this is my C programming, and for C compiler, after writing your program, we will be compiling our programming language, right? So our program, right? So what it will do, compilation means, so it will check for errors, and after checking for the errors, if there is no errors, it will generate a executable file. So executable file, have you ever open and see? It is not human readable format, right? So it is machine understandable language it will be having. So whatever the code you have written here, human understandable. So once you compile it, if there is no error, the executable file will be understandable by only your processor, your machine. So there is a middle step. There is another step is there. Once you have written your programming language, you will compile, and then it will be converted to machine understandable programming language. So machine understandable instructions. Whereas assembly directly will give machine understandable statements. But here, uh, just 1 second, please. Yeah, sorry. So there is some extra effort is there. So whatever the program we have written, it cannot be executed directly by the machine. So first what we need to do, we need to compile it, and we need to convert this program into machine understandable statements. So that's where we call it as middle level programming language. So whereas low level means directly we can run, machine can understand these programming languages, and whereas high level programming language. So our python is what? High level programming language we were calling it as, right? So why we should call it as high level programming language? Now if you see here, if you compare same these things, so a equal to 10, and here how the way we declare, the way we use in C programming language, and the way we use it in low level programming languages. So in low level programming languages, directly we deal with CPU memory. So there is no extra effort is involved for machine to execute this statement. Directly it will execute this statement. Whereas, so in this case, what it will do? So first, this is human understandable language, and this thing we will be compiling and will be generating, right? So when we are generating executable file for this program, so what we are giving here, we are conveying to the C compiler saying that this a is of type integer. A is of type integer. That means some of the job we are doing, programmer, as a programmer we are doing, and some of the job we are leaving to the processor, or the C compiler. Correct? So here I am declaring this variable as float. That means we are conveying to the C compiler saying that this variable is of type float, right? So this is what we call it as middle level. And when it comes to high level programming language, right? So this is Python code, right? So if you see here, as a programmer, we are not telling anything to the Python virtual machine. Here we call it as Python virtual machine. We are just simply we are declaring like a equal to 10, correct? So what Python virtual machine need to do? First step, it has to compute what is the type of this variable. It has to compute what is the type of this variable. So once we assign these things, so Python virtual machine will compute these two this variable as integer. Whereas in C programming language or in middle level programming language, some of the job we are doing. Here, everything we are leaving it to the Python virtual machine itself. So this kind of programming language, we call it as high level programming language. In another simple words, what we can say is high level programming languages are programmer friendly languages. High level programming languages are programmer friendly, but not machine friendly. These are programmer friendly, but not machine friendly, right? Because it takes time to execute, because machine has to do some processing. This is programmer friendly, but not machine friendly. Whereas low level programming languages are machine friendly, but not programmer friendly. It is not easy for us to write a assembly language or any low level programming code. Got it? So why we call it as, why Python is, we call it as high level programming language, because there is, we are giving lot of work to the machine. Programmers, we are doing very less job. We are leaving most of the things to the Python virtual machine and the machine only. Got it? So that's why we call it as high level programming language. And also it is general purpose programming language. So why we call it as general purpose programming language? So if you go back to our yesterday session, where we can use Python, everywhere we can use Python. Desktop applications, web applications, gaming industry, network applications, data analysis, right? So everywhere. So it is so generic. So that's why we can call it as general purpose programming language. That means this programming language we can use everywhere. High level and general purpose programming language. Okay. So next, it is free and open source. So most of the people will think that freeware and open source both are same, but not. So freeware means no need to pay anything to anyone. Anyone can download. Whereas open source means even the source code of Python is also available for us. We can download the source code, not only using. If you just want to use Python, just no need to pay anything, just download and use it. But if you want to download the source code of Python also, you can download. That is available in the python.org, Python official website. Even the source code also available. So what is the advantage you will get if you have the source code? So if we have the source code, right, so we can customize our Python. Customize in the sense, so for my application I may not need all the features of Python. So at that time what we can do, because the source code is available, delete some of the features from Python and make your own customized Python version. Or you are not happy with the features you have in Python, or you want some extra features in Python, then what you can do, anyway source code is available, add some new features to your Python programming language and customize and create a new version of your Python code. Got it? So if you want to add any features, you can add it. If you want to delete some of the features, you can delete it, because the source code is available, you can play like anything. Got it? So nowadays, industry, software industry, so these open source projects are very much, all industry is very much interested in all open source and freeware projects only, right? So this is what about freeware and open source? Both are not same. Free means no need to pay anything to anyone, no need to buy any license or anything. And open source means even the source code also available. So what is the advantage you will get? If as the source code is also available, you can customize. If you want, add some features. If you don't want, delete some features and make your customized version of Python. Got it? So maybe say me one more example you can give, like this Android operating system, whatever we use on our mobile phones, right? Apart from Apple and all, right? So the Android also it is open source. So as it is open source, so all the companies will, different companies. So Samsung will be having their own operating system built on Android. That means Android, we are running Android and Samsung, a customized version. If you take Oppo mobiles, they have some color OS or something they call. So color OS means it is not another OS. It is customized version of your Android. Got it? So this is what free and open source. Okay. So understood everyone? Any questions? All fine? Okay, good. So I may stop here today and we'll continue tomorrow.